All right, hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're looking at another breakdown. It's actually a very small snippet from a much larger breakdown, and that's on the Mauritanian. And it is an interesting little case study in how to shoot a scene outside, exterior. You're up against the elements, there's time crunch that you have to worry about, there's shadows, there's different levels of contrast. How do you do it? How do you set up the wide? Then what does the coverage look like? We're going to shoot with 2 cameras. It's interesting. That's what we're doing. If you want to see the entire breakdown, you can become a Patreon member. The link is in the description below. Let's go. You can see this is pretty much the exact same setup. Again, looking at the backlight, you're going to see now the sexist side of the film industry. This happens every single time. I don't think anyone has ever brought it up. And I'm tired of guys looking like shit on film. This is a classic example. So, perfect little setup, right? Let's sit at the table here. Let's have this thing backlit, sun over here, just peeking above. Like you can't even see. That's how close this shadow is getting to them, which would be like an absolute nightmare. If the shadow hit them, if the sun dropped too low behind this thing, you'd be racing. Be like, fuck, we need this edge on everybody. We can't lose that because that's all we're lighting with. We need that. So if this thing starts to creep out because we went too long in the courtroom scene or whatever was earlier in that day, we're in serious trouble. Or of course, if it's morning time and it's going this way for some reason, it would be the opposite, right? You would want to quickly go because you don't want this building heating up. Anyway, really good looking shot, right? Into the shadows. You're getting lots and lots of bounce from whatever is coming off the building over here, bouncing back into these buildings. So there's not a whole lot of deep contrast, especially with the colors of the building, except we're wearing a black hat. And we're wearing a hat on a sunny day outside, which makes sense, but it's black. And we got glasses on. This is going to be a lighting nightmare. So, what happens? Okay, we're gonna switch to this little awning shot. Again, as many layers as you can. Layer it up. Now, the shadow is completely different spot, right? See, the shadow now is all across all the cars, everywhere there. Whereas here, there's no shadow on that ground. Right, and then boom, shadow everywhere. Or no shadow everywhere, I should say. Okay, we cut to the 2 shot. Nice operating skills too, look at that. Let the actors lead the camera. Down now. Boom, and fucking knocked it. Right in spot 2, none of that. Let's reframe, let's do some of this. Now this is gonna counter what we see in a few seconds, which is, there's some really weird handheld in this movie. Okay, sit down, yep, settle. Now, any guesses, people? Why Jodie Foster is not sitting in this chair, right? Because this movie has harsh sun all the way through it. But if we have 2 people talking, and one is our main star, and one is a random side bit character, we're gonna put the side bit dude in the shitty lighting. That's basically in the contract. Let's put the dog shit lighting on our man over here, and let's make our Hollywood actress look as good as we can. But look at the depth of field, man, on these S7s. Super, super shallow, right? They are like picked out from the background. And then we go in, this is like, okay, interesting coverage. Like, what is this? This little one, when they look up, these are the best tacos in town. Okay, we see the guy making something down here. I get that coverage. Then cut to the 2 shot, where you're gonna play the whole scene out here. This is like your master. Then really, we go on really long. And what happens with really long is serious blob. Right, like floating in nothingness, blobbiness. And we're sort of going, you know, with the soft hob here. This is like across the face, but not really. Just tease it. Jodie, don't look too far camera left if you could, please. Just maybe look at his right eye rather than his left eye over there. Because if you look too far, this is gonna start cutting across the face and it's gonna look like shit. So we don't wanna do that. Now, in this situation, could you soften this up if you wanted to? Absolutely, right? If you just camera left a little bit on the slider, right? Because the slider's on top of the dolly. You're sitting on the dolly, and you just go like this. You just take over the slider just a few inches, and now you can soften this up. I mean, you could soften it up real easy, even in this situation. It's on such a long lens. It just depends what they're shooting at the exact same time. Like if they're shooting multiple coverage, this length, you could almost do this and this. The only reason I wouldn't say they're doing this is because you look at his shoulder here, how hot it is, versus this looks a lot more tame, right? Because you don't want this heating up too much. A little bit would be nice, but you don't want it too much. So we go right in on the close-up, and this is pretty flat, right? Jodie Foster, not the youngest, and you know, we're not trying to go crazy darkness on this side. It's pretty flat. And now him, whoo, this is what full sun looks like. Now, does full sun look bad? No. Is this the best this guy's ever gonna look though on film? Probably not. You can make this man look significantly more attractive and have it softer features and just a little bit more welcoming. But the whole point of the harsh sun here, and the whole point of knowing the framework and deciding, well, what do I actually want this thing to look like, is that we want this thing to look harsh. This is a harsh character, and as we progress and as we get to Guantanamo Bay, it's gonna get only harsher from there. So this is embracing the strong points of hard lighting. So that's what we do. We got him, strong lighting, again, bit of an odd camera choice. We bump into the medium, right? This is not the close-up anymore, this is the medium. The line on the face has gone away. But still, again, still keeping the depth. And you can see with this width, I'm gonna say there's another camera right here. That long lens camera is right next to him here. So I think they're two cameras the same way. Same goes for this, they bump out into that medium. So we go from our 2-shot to the 2 closes, back out to the mediums. Back to the 2. And look at how much more filly it is here. See shadow here to create some contrast. And filly here, right? To just even that out. And look at the holy color correction on Jodie Foster's face. That is Lift City right there. But again, now this background, this is the shot that you would want to nail this side of the street in the sun and this side of the street still in shade. Because if this was now, like if the shadow kept creeping this way, like say the sun is dropping, you want to do this well before the other coverage, because if this gets in shadow, it all flattens out. There's no depth. And because we're shooting so shallow, without the light depth, there really is no depth. Right? You need those cues because you can't see because it's such a blob. You really need those light cues. So if you're going around taking Artemis stills of this location, be like, okay, we got to do this shot, then we got to do the taco preparation shot, then we can do our coverage. And keep going. Come on, come on, come on. What are we doing here? More harsh light and a little bit of a move. You see that? Let's see let's see if you can see it in real time. Yeah. You can feel just that little drift on the dolly. Person walks by, nice. Now this is the thing where it's like you decide what you like, and this probably is in the edit that they're making this choice because we're now 239, but we're shooting Venice and we're shooting the full chip, and you're going to have a lot more room up and down than 239 on the S7 coverage, so you can probably move this up and down. I would probably move it down, right? It's a little bit weird that his eye line is below here. It's a lot of headroom for this shot. Because then here we come down, right? Now we're looking up at her, which is strange to me. Looking down, and who is this person trying to get in the shot? Hey, you. Hey, buddy, get out of the way. Still, again, looking nice, flattened off, harsh. Now that is a close-up. That looks like a blow-up to me. That looks like a severe blow-up. But you can see how much of her head is in this, because if they are doing 2-camera coverage, they're stacked right next to each other. Like this shot and this shot, they're stacked right next to each other. So also a big colored shift here. So we got this color versus that color. It's a lot warmer. There's a big crunch difference there. Anyway, also she goes heavy on this lipstick. I was like very, very red. But this is again, back flat. Like we are smushing her from right on top of the camera. We got an 8x4. Looks a little bit too windy for like a poly, but you could double clamp it. One on each side and maybe get that push right over the camera, as close as you can in there. And then we've got something on the table as well that we're bringing up. All right, what'd you think? Was that your style? Was it the right move putting Jodie Foster on that side of the conversation? Would you rather play the bit character in a little bit harsher light? Did we go rappy enough? You can only imagine the panic that would be setting in for the cinematographer as that shadow slowly made its way across the street, just about to engulf the characters, and you're going to lose all of that backlight. But those are the fun things when you're shooting exteriors and you are not in control of everything. You have to make do with what you can and work with the elements. And that's why the job is fun, right? It's constant problem solving. Okay, if you want to see the entire breakdown, go check out the Patreon plus the Discord group. It is the hive mind of cinematography online. And yeah, that is going to do it for this one. We'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.